I'm live. You're talking about pizza. I can hear you. Okay, I'm hearing you. So when I carried the thing, I was like, and I said, "Oh, it's pizza." We're not going to the pizza, but carry it. Okay. Because you don't understand it. I'm shocked that we're still having this conversation when I'm live about pizza. Guess the perks of being a mother. Okay, we'll have this conversation later. Bye bye. I'm super excited about this life because I'm having one of my favorite people on the live. It is like my brother, or it's my brother from another mother. So I'm super excited to have him. We always have honest and real conversations. And today we're talking about being your authentic self. That is one person I know that is unapologetically himself, no matter what. It really doesn't matter to him um, what people think. I've always admired that about him. He is so um, he's so authentic. He's always himself. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. He's always going to be who he meant. And I felt who better to have this conversation with than him, because I believe that a lot of people are, tend to wear masks because we want human validation. And that's the honest truth. Most times, everything we do, the clothes we wear, the places we go, the things we do is because we want people to approve of us. And um, for you to be able to say, you know what, I'm just going to be who I'm meant to be, regardless of what anybody thinks, it means that you are able to move past the fact that you don't care what anybody thinks. You're going to be true to yourself. Because most times we're not. And I believe that's one of the things that causes a lot of depression. That's the root of depression, anxiety, worry, unhappiness, even suicide. Because I mean, you have to be unhappy to a point where you feel, there's no point to life and you want to take it. Because people are always going to have their expectations of you. And trust me, you will not be able to live up to the expectations of everybody, but you can live up to your own expectations for yourself. What do you want for yourself? How do you want to live your life? How do you want to look? How do you want to dress? What do you want to do? What do you want to become? A lot of people are in careers they're not happy about. Why? Because this is what my parents want me to do. This is what works in this society. This is what is in vogue. This is what people do, because that is what you have decided to do with your life. You decided to live your life within the confines of what other people expect of you. So I believe that it's time for us to be moving towards a place where we can authentically be ourselves. I'm expecting Uti to join any moment now. It's 8 o'clock, and I'm expecting him to join any moment now so we can, get this conversation going. today. Um,
Hey, Joy. Cheers. Oh, tea. Wow. No, this is definitely not tea.
I know, but don't matter for me. I'm a tea person.
hmm
I said people were hailing your complexion and your skin today. I said,
Really? Okay. Against the brownness of my skin. Yeah. Yes, I do.
even me. Oh, anyway, welcome to the 100% Joy live show. This is my
Hey.
life that run on YouTube. And I was talking about you before you came on. I said that I wouldn't have had this conversation with anybody else about, people taking off their masks than you because I know we want to talk about something else, talk about love being transactional, but I said, no, I have a better topic to have to discuss with Uti because if there's anybody I know who is himself unapologetically, is you, and I've always admired it about you.
Thank
You know, when
you.
you stay from afar, you're admiring the fact that this person, bad and the ugly, he shows you and he says, you know what, take me as I am.
Yeah.
If you are not okay with it, that's fine. I'm okay with it. I will sleep well. You understand? But this is who he is. And then you see all the good parts. You see all the ugly parts. You see all the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, there's the good parts and the bad. All of
It's
them put together.
bad.
And it sums up this amazing person. And even because you're being authentic, even the bad part now becomes admirable. Do you understand? You know?
Well,
Yeah, because you're being yourself. Exactly. Because
point.
because truth is attractive. I said it on my last, like, truth is very attractive.
It's very,
When
very
somebody is
attractive.
honest about who they are, that's why sometimes you say, that lady has so very bad character, but that man just loves her. Or that man is so bad, but that woman, because
Mhm.
truth is attractive. Somebody sees that I'm being myself. This is who I am.
Mhm.
You have to take me because nobody is perfect, but we're constantly wearing this mask of trying to create this perfect picture of ourselves. So people would think that, oh, this person does not have. I was watching something and what's her name? Angelo, the lady,
Maya
Maya.
Angelou.
He
Yeah.
said she doesn't like people who are righteous, who
hmm
behave as if there's nothing in their closet. In fact, they behave as if they don't have a closet.
Like
And
the
I said,
shoes
this
don't
woman just
stink.
took it. Yeah, she just took it out of my mouth because I've always said that from time. I've always been drawn to making friends with people that are flawed because I am flawed and I believe every human being is flawed. But when you appear as if you're not, I have a
Like you
problem
are
with it.
flawless.
Yes, I have a problem with it. So, Uti, I'm going to ask you my first question. Why do you think people wear masks?
Um, I think um, I think it's really simple. It's about accept just that validation. I would go for
Yes,
validation number
people's
one.
validation.
Yeah, they
Mm,
seek people's validation because they've not gotten to the point where they've learned to accept who they are on the inside. Because the thing is, if you think about like owning a pet now, if you love it, you will, or whatever it is that you were attached to as a child. You remember that
mm.
feeling of having someone trying to, drag that away from you. That
Yes,
Yeah, the natural urge to fight, to protect, and to own what is yours. So I
yes.
think when we attach our personalities to that same ideology, if you learn to love yourself so much, you would never
Mm,
be willing to put yourself in a position where someone will snatch who you really are away from you.
mm.
So that's why they put on masks because they've not gotten to the point where they are their own favorite person. As a matter of fact, what it is that I end up idolizing other people based on their financial status, their social status in particular, and based on what society has deemed acceptable for those platforms. So that's it really. So it's all about acceptance at
Human
the
people's
end of
validation.
validation, acceptance, and just lack of self love. That's
Love.
what, because you only cover what you hate or you're ashamed of.
Mm. Okay, so I knew that you had to go through a journey to get here. It was a
Yes,
process.
yes.
So for you, what was the process like moving from self-rejection to self-love? Moving from needing
It
people's
was very
validation
instant for
to
me.
saying, you know what,
Yeah, it
to
was
hell
instant.
with all of you.
It was instant for me because the thing about being an empath is that you end up catering to and serving social vultures and spiritual and emotional and mental
Yes,
vultures. So
yes,
you know, in where I grew up, I'm thinking Nigeria. They say this every day: know yourself, not because. So you get to a particular age, and or rather, I would say period in your life. Because if I say age, it's like limiting it to just the amount of years you spent on Earth. But
mm.
it's really not about that. It's about experience. Like my experience at 40 could be another person's experience as 25, 26, 27.
You don't
Um,
look 40.
thank you. I
My
rub
senior brother.
I rub cream.
Yeah, I'm telling you, after this life, you have to tell me the cream you're using. I swear to God. Oh, yeah, let's continue.
I pay. It costs. All costs three are costs. You've thrown me off my chain of thought too. So what were
Oh,
we saying?
sorry.
So
You were
what were we
talking.
saying? Remind me.
You're talking about your process that for you it wasn't something that was so hard for you to
Oh yes,
do.
yes, yes. So back to that, right? Like when you've learned to love and accept yourself and you've removed shame, um, you won't let anybody snatch you away from you. So and when repeated experiences now start occurring where you've experienced it with this person, you've experienced it with that person and this person from different walks of life. At the end of the day, people won't understand that it's because you are a source and people like to be attached to a source. They will see it as you are the problem and that people are naturally the heart of man is wicked. That's what the Bible
Yes.
says. Yes. So a lot of people that get from you end up hating you because they can't suck all they wanted from you. So if you
Yeah.
keep letting them do all these things to you, you end up getting a reputation of, oh, they're always having issues with their friends, as opposed to people like to take advantage of you because of the kind of heart you
Yeah.
have.
Because you
So
are the kind
better
of person.
learn,
Yeah.
yes. And things if you're in a position of influence or power or affluence or just on a path of success, anybody least successful than you would always be the victim in any squander, as long as they know how to play the victim role perfectly. But thankfully, people
Mm.
have started to up to that. So when you don't want to be that person that is having to learn their lessons again. So for me, I just said, you know what? They say if you want different results, you try different methods. Um, I was just done. I just got to a point where I was like, yeah, it's okay. I'm good. And if I wasn't so, or if I was so bad, then why do I keep attracting people to me? Like ants are not going to gather bitter cola or bitter.
Yes,
Ants will
exactly.
gather sweet shit. So why do they
Mm.
keep coming back? Why do new ones keep coming? That's when my value for self started. I'm like, because I'm not out here looking for who to latch onto. I'm out here looking for who to connect with. Like,
Mm.
let's empower each other as opposed to leeching from each other. Um, and by empowering, I don't mean how Nigerians always tend to think by empower is like, oh, how much you dash me, but to
Yeah.
empower you both mentally, physically, spiritually, and all. You know, so that's how I got self value. Like I'm a sweet boy, not in terms of looks, but I'm my
No,
personality,
but
my aura, my
uh,
being is
our
a
own
sweet.
Jesse Moment. Yeah, our own
Yes,
Jesse
I am a
Moment.
child of light, and by child of light, I'm not referring to it by the Christian or religious child of light. Child of light in terms of God knows who I am on the inside and why He created me, and that's why I'm attracted on people. So you have to. Now, only good thing you dey put password. A
Yeah.
worthless you won't put a password on it. So I had to put a password on my act on who had access to me on my heart, and that's when it was just instant. Just when person don't do you, then one it takes one person to do your nothing. Like wait a minute, and then that was
But
it
the
for me.
next thing you're saying just reminds me of something you told me like 14 years ago. I still remember. You said I
Wow.
should be an exotic island people have to walk to get to. I shouldn't be a doormat. Uti, that thing has stuck with me till to. Do you know sometimes I make the statement because you know my journey to loving myself. You
Yes.
understand? And it
Yes.
took me a lot. It took me getting my fingers burnt, going through so much to get to a point where I started putting myself first. But every time I go back to that statement you made, it made me, it began to make more sense to me. The fact that it's important that as a person, I should make myself an exotic island. People have to work hard to get to that island. You have to find out to get there. Rather than a doormat, everybody can just clean their legs
Just
and
two
move on, which is
legs.
what happens to
Ah, Uti
empaths.
Nwachukwu, I said that. Wow.
But
Okay.
it's amazing. Okay, those were the days when you didn't used to mince your words. You just tell your friends. So, but I am grateful to those words because it was one of the mantras that I held when I started my journey to self-care and self-love and accepting myself. Because I said, Joy, you are an exotic island. You're not a doormat. So
Yes.
which
Really?
takes me moves me to which moves me to where we're going. And knowing that the first thing you must do is set boundaries.
Yes.
You
Healthy
understand?
boundaries.
Uh, and you said something when you were talking. When you begin to set those boundaries, even though you didn't use the word boundaries, people begin to say you're not a good person, you're mean, you're wicked, you're this, because they're used to having access to you. They're used to you just agreeing to everything. They're used
Yeah.
to yes, yes, yes from you. So the day you say no, you become.
The devil.
Let me give you an example that probably some people might not agree with me here. You
Mm.
see the Hakimi story that is trending. For me, no, no. You see, let me give you my take on. For me, I believe that as a human being, in everything you go into, you set boundaries for yourself. You
Yes.
look out for yourself, even when you look out for other people. I don't want to believe that in that marriage, his wife did not have everything she needed, was not catered for. But I felt that something people were forgetting was this guy was a teenager, 19. That's 4 years older than my son when he started off with this lady who was 31. Now, if he was 30 and she was 42, it would have been a different conversation. But for me, he was a teenager. And I'm just imagining my son becoming an athlete at maybe 18. I probably would still be managing his affairs. Do you understand? I don't expect him as a teen to be managing millions. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Because I have a son, I can understand that, okay, these boundaries were put there because
To protect him.
he to protect him because he was young. And when you are a teenager, you will be stupid sometimes
Very
when
stupid
you are
because
handling
they're
something
fighting
that,
child stars now.
yeah, and there's all this fame and all this money. And I also want to see a backstory because, as a writer, I always like to go to the backstory. I'm thinking that these people are coming from a place where they suffered to get here. And I understand, she was even, the mom raised him alone. You can imagine where they're coming from. And then he's 19. And I believe that she started managing his funds before he even met, this lady. And I want to believe that 24, he's still a child because there are a lot of 24-year-olds who live in their parents' house. Imagine he wasn't a footballer and he was just a regular guy. He'd have been finishing youth service. True or false?
Very true.
Do you understand?
Very
So,
true.
so yeah, so for me, I keep saying people are looking at it from an angle of, oh, the mother didn't want her to have the money, the mother didn't want her to do this. But I'm looking at it from the angle of this is a child who started a career at a young age, thank God, and his mom was managing his resources at that point in time. And then he got married to this lady who is way older than him. Now he's at a point in his life that he's supposed to be having fun, traveling with friends, discovering himself, going through the process of growing up as a guy. But instead, he's a father with children. I don't know if I'm making
Yeah,
sense to
of
you.
course. You
He's
speak
a father with children.
very
Uti, imagine
eloquently.
yourself at 21, you have your first child, 24, you have your
No
22, you
way
have
I'm
your second
that.
child.
I was literally telling my friend today how I didn't date seriously in my 20s. I never did.
Exactly. You are part at that
I
point, you're
started dating in
partying,
my 30s.
exploring, trying to find yourself. I was having a
Yeah,
conversation with some guy yesterday who is in his 40s, and he was like, he was even this virgin at 24. Now, this guy is a father to two children at 24. Now, you have to understand that himself and this lady are on two different journeys. She's ready to settle down, be a mother, raise her family at her 31, she's 36 now. Now, he is ready to explore life, find himself.
why should she get
They,
married to a man
no,
that
exactly. Date, find what life is about. So if people keep saying she's the victim, I'm like, he's also a victim in some way because
they're both victims? That's
they are
this is
both
what when
victims.
on the internet you see comments, they'll say he's right and she's right too. Everybody.
Yes, they are both victims in a way because
And
these are two people who want different
there's
things.
yeah.
Yeah, these are two people who want different things and they came together to try and have a life. He wanted to, I'm sure he wanted to have fun, but he felt he was in puppy love. She wanted to start a family, and these are two people family. You understand? So setting those boundaries on his finances and people having problem with it, I think is a big deal because this is who he is. This is what
Well,
this was not done
people are
directly at the
adversary
woman.
an opportunist, so they want to say at least last make this one take carry for money when you know work. Don't mind them. They always look for a reason to make it seem like you know X.
Exactly. And
It's just
I don't think that
only
this
an
was
opportunist
preempted
would find the problem with it. Because if you marry this man for who he is, you're not going to be interested in how much he's making or how much you would get in case whatever happens. So as an opportunist, then you got played. That's what
because
that's
if I was breaking up with somebody for love and someone I love so much hurts me
I'm
and
gonna
I'm
ask you
leaving,
for
I will be asking you for money. I will even tell you that I don't want
yeah.
anything you have.
The people say, "Oh,
Exactly.
do you know what she gave up?"
You understand? So these are some, and then when I go online and see all the comments and everything from people who do not even know these two people, who do
Mm-hmm.
not understand what their lives are about, it just shows me why we always want to live our lives for people's
Yeah,
validation.
I mind
You
them.
understand?
It's
Why we
it's all fun and
always
games when it's not you that's on the receiving end.
exactly, exactly. So,
Mm.
Uti, how do you think we should go about setting boundaries, especially when you're someone that, because I know there are a lot of people like me out there who are empaths and probably live their lives just, pleasing everybody, people pleasing. You understand? And then you get to a point where you're like, you know what? I love myself enough to start making the right decisions. And how do you go about setting boundaries without having those frictions? Because I know I mean, every other time I see that you set new boundaries and then you have to deal with the repercussions of it. But how do we set these boundaries?
I think number one, it comes from self love. It all goes back to self love.
Okay, so
Um,
let's go back to self-love. What is this self-love? Because the way we see it on
self
social
love is
media.
treating yourself first. Like think about the thing you love the most and how you treat it. That's how you should treat yourself. Think
Mm,
about how you would want to be talked to by someone that loves you. Fantasize about how you want to be loved and then love yourself that way. That is self love. So, setting healthy boundaries has to do with putting yourself first without feeling guilty about it. Because, like I said, the average human out there is an opportunist and they would like to or love to make you feel
yeah,
bad.
people will take as long as you don't put a, yeah, people will keep taking as long
Everybody
as
wants
you're
to be
giving.
first in someone else's life, but adulthood teaches you that everyone has to be the first in their lives. And I learned that a bit later than I should have, but I'm happy when I learned it. Put yourself first and find out what makes you tick. You have to understand you and make sure you love what you found about yourself and make sure that you can take whatever it is you do like about yourself from another person. And if you do that, then you're very confident in the boundaries that you set. For example, if you're not a morning person, you're not a morning person. And anyone that tries to make you feel bad for not being a morning person, that's on them. It doesn't mean you don't have to learn how to compromise, but
Mm,
you have to compromise every day. It doesn't make sense. Compromising every day is not the other person taking advantage of you. So compromise once in a while, but your default setting is that you are not a morning person. You're setting those
mm.
boundaries. If you're all about in a relationship, and that's why I tell people, do you talk before you go into relationships or friendships?
You set parameters.
Yes, there are the societal beliefs, and then there's my belief, and then your
Yeah,
belief.
exactly.
And then if it rhymes, it rhymes. So by setting boundaries, for instance, like some people say, how do you have a spouse or a lover and they don't have the password to your phone? It's okay to
But that
not want
but
to do that.
but even in a relationship, we must have boundaries. There's
That's what
there's a
I'm saying.
place I start and you stop. There's a place you stop and I start.
That.
You
That's
know?
what I'm saying. So if you are the kind of person that feels, of course, my girlfriend or my boyfriend can have my password, then you have to look for someone who feels that way. You don't got to meet someone who is I have my password, you have your password.
Have your
I don't know
password, and then you
your
want
own.
to build the
You don't
life with
so you want
exactly.
to change that person to your own school of thought, and then you now vilify the person for not being comfortable trying to change to your school of thought. That's selfish. So don't feel bad if somebody like that's why some people at some part of their relationship they will say, "But you knew me before you. Ah, ah, why are you now trying 1, 2, 3 years later? You're trying to complain about something that you knew before you
Mm.
started propose or date me. Put your cards on the table. Don't lie. Don't
I
lie.
think it's selfishness, though. when you
Yeah.
want something, and you can clearly see that that thing doesn't fit into your style, but you still believe you can change I think that's the biggest delusion we live with as human beings. We believe we can change people.
No,
You want to
yeah.
get married, you want to go
That's
into
why
a relationship, you know that
compatibility
this
is a
person
thing.
is not on the same wavelength with you, but you
Yeah.
like the person, or you are ready to settle down, or you just like the idea of being with the person and you believe that you can change. You know, that's what most issues and quarrels in relationships are about. He
Yes.
doesn't do this, she doesn't do this. But the guy or the babe has never ever done those things. But you just thought that being with you, they
If
can
they
now
love you, they will
change
change
and
for you.
become.
They will compromise a little bit for you, but that's not who they are,
Mm.
naturally.
So I think you're right about setting parameters in the beginning. Sit down. But the
In
problem
the
is, if when you sit down and
beginning,
have that conversation, some people are still not honest about the conversation because
yes.
they believe
Because
that
some
if
people
they
are so
tell you the
fixated
truth,
on getting you that they would lie.
thank
Yeah.
you. Because they feel if they tell you the truth, you might walk away
And if you flee, it's better to flee now than to just emotionally damage each other in the future. You
in the
know? So
future.
me, I'm not afraid to set boundaries. So if it spells out, that's why compatibility is a thing. If me setting boundaries reveals that we're not compatible, so be it. Then we'll be distant buddies, or even if it's a physical relationship, we'll be distant physical friends. Like when we need each other, we call each other, gratify each other. You go
Mm,
your way, I go my way. You know, it's about compatibility. So never, so that you will never feel guilty. There's someone for someone out there. The same
mm.
rules and regulations of life that you want to abide by. There's someone else that believes in those same rules. Find your person, and I always go back to your tribe. Be
I
it
just
friend
wrote it down now.
or family.
Find your person. I
Yeah,
just wrote it. Find
find your
find your person.
find
And
your
it's
person.
true. And it's true. But Uti, how do people take off this mask now? How are we going to do it? How
It
should
starts with
people?
you. It starts with you. Like I said, you get to a point where it's
What's
like
where does the process start
you're
from?
having
Because
you're having if you're having recurrent experiences, repeated experiences. If you don't know yourself, then that's on you. If you keep every time you hang your clothes outside, you come out and they're missing, and you keep hanging new ones there, then you're to blame eventually. So you'll get to the point where you'll be out of clothes and you'll be like, my mumu don't do. I'm not going to
it's true,
bring
you
out.
get to a point where you are drained and empty,
Yes,
and then you have to sit down and say, okay, what do I need to do differently?
this is what they call life humbling you. So when life humble you, nobody could tell you to come on your mask. Nobody.
Mm.
Nobody. And that's why sometimes I look at people, you talk to them, they'll look like they will act like they've listened to you, and they will go back and do the very same thing they asked you about before. I'm like, when life humbled this one, they will come back. Life has humbled me. So
Especially in a relationship, when you want somebody, this is not good for you. Uti have warned me before.
it's the one that is not good for you that you like. By the
That's
time
what
you
you
find
tell.
yourself by yourself praying at
That's
2 a.m. saying, I know my heart is good, God, but why? Your eyes is there.
no, but one of the things I have noticed about authenticity is when you begin to embrace it, you feel a sense of freedom.
Yeah,
Like when you stop caring about what people think,
it's a birth now.
it
It's
starts
like
opening you up to who you truly are. That's when your
yeah,
real self starts revealing itself to
I,
you.
I agree.
And I feel like the mask is the reason a lot of people are depressed because you're wearing a persona that is not yours. I believe that's
Yes.
why we have mental health issues. The
Yes.
fact that I'm trying to be who I'm not. I believe that's why we have social anxiety. You go
Yes.
somewhere, you are trying to be the way people want, so you are anxious. It gives you social anxiety. You know, I used to tell you that I have social anxiety. And you understand. But when you come into a place and you're like, okay, this is me in
And
this my Ankara.
that's my formula. I enter a place and I'm like, hey,
Yes. And
bitches,
you take on the energy. In fact, the place takes on your energy, which is what it is
Mm,
supposed to be. You own
yeah.
your space when you walk in there. And everything, the emotional climate becomes what you create it to be. Why? Because you're not trying to be who every other person expects you to be when you walk in there. I remember there was a time that you were supposed to do some stuff and then your hair. They're like, no, your hair, it's braids, sorry, it's dreads, it won't work and all that. You're like, well, this is how I like to look. So if it's not going to work, you know, the it's okay. I can let it go if the hair is the problem, for a job, you
Yes.
know. You're like, well, if the hair is the problem for the job, then well, but people have come to accept it because you have accepted yourself. And that's one thing I've
Exactly.
noticed. When you accept who you are, people will accept you, whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
You understand?
I
Whether
agree.
people accept you, whether you like it or not. But at first, there's always a struggle. There's always a fight. There's always a contention. You
Mm.
know, people would rebel against it. Family, um,
Everybody.
friends,
Even though I
even the
yes.
ones that don't have a say in your life, like you guys, celebrities now, you have issues with trolls.
Mm.
In fact, I always say that you're one person that knows how to handle this thing because when you're like, I'm here for it, bring it. So they pack themselves from there because this one, you can't even get to him because he's ready for it. In fact, he lives and breathes the drama. So bring it, which I think is something that we all need to find a way to do. That is why I need you to really, really take me through the process of how you got there. Because even me, I'm trying to still get there. When somebody says something, it doesn't bother me. When I decide that
Oh,
this is what I want to
don't
do, and
get
my mind will not
twisted.
shake to do it.
Don't
You
get it
understand?
twisted. Don't
When
get
I
it
decide to
twisted.
embrace, because when
There
you
is
embrace,
no go
when
on.
you embrace who you are, you begin to know why you are here
Yes.
and what you're meant to do with your life. You're intentional and precise. You know what your life is about. And that's
Mhm.
why for me, authenticity is so important because the more I embrace myself, because I don't think I'm 100% yet. The more I embrace myself, the more it's clear to me what my assignment is. It's clear to me what my life is about, what I'm supposed to be doing. So I need you to take me through that process because you went through a process. I know the times that you've had your dark times. I need that process because I believe that for you to have been able to get here, you are an authority on authenticity.
Mm. Process. I think for me, yeah, because a lot of my anxieties were attached to everyone else apart from me. I started to weigh why I would sort of place those people's opinions more important than mine. You
Mm.
know, so I went there and it's like the grieving process because you have to grieve who you were. So you go through all the stages of grief. You go when you first start to do it, like you're shocked and confused, and you're that's what triggers it most of the time. And then after that, you get to a point of for me, my next level was I was first shocked, like why is this happening to me? Then it was depression. I entered a stage of not depression. Depression is a strong word, so I'll use the word unhappiness. So I became a bit unhappy because I kept being let down by people I attached my happiness to. So I had to realize that at the end of the day, no matter who I've attached my happiness to, I've always found myself by myself all the time. So maybe I also need to elevate pressure on them by removing the pressure from me, myself, and how I'm putting that on someone else. So the sadness of just breaking away from that and realizing that, okay, I also had a part to play in whatever happened to me. That's the sadness where you feel like your own saboteur. Um, then the next part for me was now anger. I was angry at everybody. I was just like, get out. If anybody wants to talk to me, or once I just see a red flag, as opposed to communicating, and responding, I would be reacting and just acting out. So that's to show people that you can't do this to me. You want to, yeah. And
Mm.
then after that, for me, I just felt this feeling of defeat in terms of because that anger is also part of control. You want to control things to make sure that it's sort of like a give and take thing where you're like, okay, I've been receiving your energy. Now you must feel my energy to make sure you ain't shit. But that also never produces. It's like when they
Yeah,
say,
that vindictive thing.
yes, it's like almost like being vindictive. So it's like vengeance. Vengeance is never sweet. After you enact your vengeance, it's never sweet
There's
because
nothing to.
there's nothing to it, and that's that
I think
feeling.
I think the best vengeance is taking what you learn from a situation and making the best out of,
Absolutely. So I
just
got,
moving forward and making the best out of yourself. I've
yeah,
always believed that.
yeah. I just got to that feeling of just about just surrendering. I surrendered to a higher power. Like God, okay, I'm not you. So what's up? So after I surrendered, um, then I start to understand, or on the then I started to yeah, then I started to understand that every single thing we have gone through is part of the process. And if I
Mm.
wasn't going to get better, these things wouldn't have happened. You start to pay attention to quotes, and then you start to read. I started to read certain books that I wouldn't have read, I had to listen to certain motivational pieces, I started to meditate. I went on a quest of self-betterment. I wanted to be better for myself because I identified, like I said, I identified my role I played in all those things. So I went on a quest of self-improvement and I started to make myself better. And that came with this relaxing feeling. I started to feel relaxed. And then I started to hear things about how people led their own lives. And I was like, wait a minute. So I'm not that bad. I'm like, I'm human and everyone else is human. No one is flawless. So I was just like,
Exactly.
wow. So these people that feel the need to now judge, persecute, insult you in public, they're actually unhappy because when you start to taste real happiness, you don't even have time to try to bring the next man down. And then you equate whatever they're doing to how you used to be angry at people then because you've realized whatever truth you thought you realized. And you didn't like the way you felt then. Then you start to feel sorry for them because this is how they are feeling. For them to go out of
Mhm.
their way project that energy on you, and you're like, it's like just the scales falling off your eyes and knowing that these people need saving. By saving, I don't mean Russian,
Ex-
I mean
yeah, they just
saving,
exactly.
saving. So I just said, I'm actually living a better life. Like, wow, sucks to be you. And you want to hold on to that, which goes back to that thing I said first. When you like something, hoard it. So I want to herd my happiness. I want to herd my self love and acceptance. And knowing that I am rare, I am a gift, and the most imperfect diamonds are usually the most valuable. So, yeah,
You know,
I owned
you know,
it.
now you have brought me to something I'm going to ask you now. Okay, so your last birthday is when you talked about you be holding your yourself. So your last birthday, you had this amazing photo shoot. I think it was amazing because I
Mhm.
even spoke about it on one of my episodes on my series when I
Mhm.
talked about being authentically yourself. And you did this shoot, that had something to do with what's the narcissist? What's the guy's narcissus or whatever they call him?
More Narcissus, whatever.
Narcissus the hair. And you had this photo shoot, and I thought it was, very creative and very brilliant. And for me, that was how the most authentic somebody can get to understand to say, you know what, there's a narcissistic part of me,
Of
and that
course.
part of me is a part of me that loves me so much. You understand? And I want to embrace that part and celebrate that part. That's what I saw with the photo shoot. Although people saw different things with it, but
And that's
that
what the
was
photo was about. See yourself
yeah.
however
And remember,
and
if you remember,
every
I
part
actually
of me is
I
to
actually
respect.
told you that remember I told you that you forgot one particular shoot that you should have had one with the mirror where you are actually looking into
Looking at
your own
myself.
image, being slayed by your own image. You understand? Now, for me, it went beyond just a photo shoot to say this is someone that has come to a point where he says, "This is who I am. I'm Uti. I'm an empath. I'm a friend. I'm a brother. I'm loyal. But I'm also there's a narcissist in me that, you know, really, really loves me, maybe a little bit too much. You understand? And people don't get it. But I still love that part of me, that is not the one that every other person socially wants to accept, but is
Yeah,
okay because you can't accept every part of me.
you
That's the
can.
way I saw that. And I believe that it was, for me, it was a height of accepting oneself and being authentic. But people saw it differently. But what inspired you to do that photo shoot?
So I
Start
can't
talking.
take I can't take credit for that photo shoot. It was a spur of the moment decision for me because one of my major person, I don't want to call her my photographer because I feel like it just reduces our relationship to
Just photography.
whatever. Yeah, but she's actually my friend. She approached me based on photography, but we became friends. I would love to call her my friend. Idara. She's the one that came up with it. And she was like, after the first one we did for my 39th, where I was like scantily clad. Um, she just wanted to do portraits, but then, along the way when I was changing, I was
Oh,
like,
that was another brave one. That was
I
another brave
know
one.
that
I need
was
to
brave.
get to
That
that
was
point
the
where I'll be doing scantily clad.
yeah, I
I'll
don't
tell my
know.
mother, I'll tell my
That was
mother
the
I'll tell the evangelist you inspired it.
Yes, tell them. So that was me doing away with anything that had to do with shame because as we are, so we
Yeah.
are. So when she came up with the idea, it freaked me out. Not freaked me out because me, nothing really freaks me out, but it just made me a bit cautious. Like but when she explained, like, no, I'm going for the Greek god thing. You're crossing over to a new age, like a new decade. 40 is the age of like maturity and love and blah, blah, blah.
So
So she's
like
like,
spiritual enlightenment,
yeah.
embracing this new.
So she's like, I want to. She said, Uti, you are a very good-looking man. You're a beautiful
Oh
man. You're a
please.
beautiful man.
Oh please.
Said, and I was like, okay, so allow me. She said, do you know what she said? She said, do you trust me? I said, yes, I trust you. She said, let me just trust me. So when she did that, and I took the first few shots, and I saw what it was like on the camera, I loved what I saw.
Yeah.
It felt like I was looking at somebody else that I was admiring, but it was me.
That's
So
your higher self.
my higher self was appreciating the work that my spirit, my physical being had done. So I was
Mm,
like, it's like when you take care of your car, and you come out one
mm.
day, oh wait, shiny, looks new, even though it's been around for quite a while. So I think that's what my higher self saw. Like, I've done a good job on this boy. And my higher self spoke to me and just said, you're an amazing human being in and out. You're beautiful as fuck. So I was like, yes. And that's so by looking at the pictures, that's when I started to get inspired. And I was like, you know what? Let's go on. Just direct me in any way and I'll put my own interpretation to it. So she was clicking on the cameras, changing poses and everything. And I was giving her what she wanted. I was like, oh, life, life. We have a very beautiful symbiotic relationship. And we had so many images, some I've not even released. Just played around with everything because my energy was strong. Her energy was also as strong. It was just symbiosis. How do you call it? Symbiosis. Yeah,
Symbiotic.
yeah, symbiosis, like the noun of it. Yes, it was just symbiosis in its finest form, and we made a great session. Made a great session. So that's it. And she helped me, and I told her I made a post about her, the one that helps you, trigger your true love. Like she just shows you where you've gotten to. And that's what I appreciated about that shoot. So that's why I didn't care what I was just like, you guys need to see me. This is
I thought it
strong,
was I thought it was a
handsome,
fantastic
beautiful,
shoot.
aesthetic. Oh no, she brought out all the sides of me. Like there's one Ashley Simpson song I always seem to remember. The pieces of me, pieces of me. And yeah, that photo session they were just pieces of
Was
she
okay.
captured the very essence of who, I feel I am.
No, I think that's who you are.
Thank
I know I told you
you.
that when I saw the picture and I broke
Yeah,
it
not
down to
like
you what
you said it.
I felt I was
You
seeing,
because you experienced me.
Yeah,
Because I
so
experienced
I
you well.
know.
Mhm.
So I thought so. So Uti, let me ask you the last question.
Yes.
So in a world where you must, you know, be a certain way to move
Yes.
forward, how do you
Yes.
balance being your authentic self and positioning yourself for what you want? Remember that if we keep saying this is who I am, take me or leave me, it's anti-progressive. I always say that I don't think people should say this is who I am, take me or leave me. No, because we're in a world where there are different things in place, different structures in place, different things expected of us, and yes, we should be authentic, but how do we balance that out with positioning ourselves for the things that you're a certain way, but you need to be a certain way to have a certain thing
I
or
know, I
to
know what you're saying.
have a certain position. How do you balance that out?
I would say, you remember the part where I said, talked about compromise. It's not just for
Mm,
human, it's for life
yeah.
situations. You have to be
Mm.
willing to compromise. You have to know when your ego is in play and when
Speaking,
your
yes. Or when your
it,
authenticity is
like remember
speaking,
when
there's a difference.
I just looked at my picture and I was like, yeah. If my ego was speaking, my ego would have been, no, 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 I don't want to be portrayed in this way. I don't want to be portrayed in that way. No.
Mm.
You have to consult your higher self every time and shun ego. Ego is attached to pride and anger and resentment and all of that. But your higher self is rational thinking. So
And it's peaceful. When you make a decision that
very
is right, you
it's
feel
like
peace.
so Christians will say that still little inner voice, which is true. That's the voice of the Holy Spirit. Other people say is your energy, your higher being. Other people say, it still goes back to the Holy Spirit, the two voices inside you. Know thine own self. As in you know
Mm.
yourself. Know the essence of why God created
Still
you. You just know
critics.
what is for you is for you. And that's it all goes back to alignment too. If you have to force it, it's not worth it.
Mm.
So for me, you should also, but don't be that person that will not, there's a thin line between confidence and arrogance. You have to know when you're crossing that line by being authentic with yourself. So be very, very vigilant about how you feel, of how you feel. Sorry, and yeah, that's the beginning for me. Just
But
pay
it also
attention.
depends on what you're compromising for, because
That's what I'm saying.
sometimes
So
you
for
leave your
compromise,
authentic self and
ask
become a slave to something else.
yeah, that's why it's tied to who you are, your very essence. Know yourself. What you won't tolerate, don't tolerate it. And that's where integrity and dignity and all of that become in place. Define what you can and what you cannot do. For me, I have said I'm going to cut my hair now. And that's this is putting it lightly, because I don't want to go too deep. Because when you
Mm.
go, there are a lot of semantics. For me, the easy way to put it is that no, it is who I am. I'm not going to compromise that. However, if there's a major life changing decision, let's say I'm offered a paycheck where even if I don't work for the next 50 years and I blow this
Ah,
money, still be
we'll
rich.
cut the hair. Even me,
I'll
I'll put the scissors and cut
I'll
it, because
grow
I know
a
the
new one.
fight will come to me.
Yes. And if another new one doesn't grow, it means it was time for me to evolve. We look at change as a bad thing. So if something pushes me into a direction where I have to evolve, I will evolve. Don't get me twisted. I will evolve.
Mm.
And that's how I'm learning. I'm in the phase of my life where I'm perfecting the art of learning to go with the flow. I'm just letting the waves just carry me. Not telling me,
Have you read the Kigai?
no, I haven't.
Uti, you should read it. It's about the Japanese, it's a Japanese
This house
concept
is
of
about
finding, of living purposefully. So
yeah.
they believe that
I know that.
when you find an intersection between your passion, your what you love to do, your then the skill you have, what you can be paid for, and what you feel the world needs that you can provide. When you
Yes.
find, if you're able to find an intersection between the three, then you found your ikigai.
Your purpose.
Now, when you begin to exist in that space, you now enter a state of flow. Flow is life, just, the way water flows,
Effortless. So you're not swimming against
effortless.
the waves and the current, you're swimming in unison with it.
Yes, everything becomes effortless. That
So that's
is
the
the
stage I'm
state
on.
you
So
reach.
now we need to just flow. So the things that give me anxiety or worry, I'm overthinking, and I'm trusting in the force, my creative, the force that created me, which is the Almighty God. I'm trusting in that.
Yeah.
When you trust where you are created from, you just know. You just know, and you know that things will fall in pleasantly, like in line, like pleasant things.
There was something you said years ago. You
Mhm.
said, I want to see the world and get paid for it,
Yes.
which is my dream too. But you
Mhm.
said it years ago. And that wasn't just that. There's another day you said you want to have fun and get paid for it. That for
Yes.
you, life is about having fun. And that's the life you live.
Yes.
Now, I think that it was made
That's
possible because of your authenticity. Let's look at the first time you went to Big Brother. You were this, you just went there and showed
that was my
yourself, sha.
face. That was my angry face.
Yeah, you went and showed your angry face. Okay, what we expect that when you went back, you will now package a different person. Try to be
Same
okay.
person,
What would you
just
like? They want
different.
to love me. They want to love me. They want me to behave in a way they will love me. So what I'll do, I'll be the best guy. I'll be worshiping the ladies. I'll be washing their panties for them. I'll be cooking for them. You still went there. Your mouth was still sharp.
Yes. Because if you love me for
Is that
me.
the only difference? Was, I mean, you've matured to a point that you made it
I
feel.
learned from them. I had improved on
And,
who I
and the funniest thing is that the friends you made then are still your friends till now. That is
yes.
one of the things that shows how authentic you are. The friends you made from inside the house are still, it wasn't TV
It
friendship.
wasn't for the
You
show.
understand?
I connected with them because there's a purpose why we were aligned.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that for you, that authenticity is what had made it possible for you to be living the life you've always dreamed of. Because I remember this was the life you always dreamed of.
Yes.
Back then when your dreads are where you didn't have dreads yet.
Exactly.
You know what I'm trying to say? You had always dreamed of, living the life that you have now. And each time I think about, the stuff that I do and all that, and or I see you on social media, I always go back to the fact that you actually made this statement, and this is the life that you are embracing. And I think it's authenticity played a major role in it, being who you're meant to be, and then every other thing begins to align. So I think it attracts the right people, the right resources, the right opportunities, and the right things. I think so. But I'm sure you have another
Yeah,
secret ingredients. Just add,
that's it.
just Tell us
That's
that
the
last
feeling.
secret ingredient. No, I know the ingredients, but just tell us so that
No, trust. For me, it's just learning to trust and knowing that as there are seasons, with the weather, there will be seasons in your life. Like nature is like a test environment for your life. If you're deep enough, you'll be able to, find the analogies in nature. So if there's winter, spring, summer, and fall internationally, and each weather season comes with its own properties, why
mm,
do you think your life is going to be up? Even a heartbeat. I watched this on TV, so let me not sound like if I'm so smart, but there's a reel
we
I
are so
saw where
smart
they
for
said,
to remember.
thank you. But the lady was talking about the heartbeat. Like it goes boom, boom. She said, and when it goes flat like this, it means the person is dead. So if you're experiencing just one um, shade of experience, then you are living a dead life. You're alive but dead. So
Mm,
you have to learn there's the goods, the bad, the uglies, the in betweens, and all of that. So I've come to that point where I've accepted it. I'm like, okay, this is just like a time to sow and a time to reap. Like there's so many analogies that you can find
mm,
from just different, like to encourage yourself during different seasons. Because for me, I've noticed that when I'm in a season where I'm not getting what I want to, I would complain. But my transition was to go from there to now say, oh, this is the time to sow. This is the time to give what you want to receive. And
mm,
I don't money. I'm talking about whatever it is that's important to you. Do you get
mm.
what I mean? So, and when something happens, I've gone from, oh, why is this happening, to what am I supposed to learn from this so that I don't learn it again in future? Because until you learn the lesson you're supposed to learn, you keep having repeated
Repeated,
experiences.
yeah. You still taking the
You
test,
will
just
not
like school.
ascend to the next level. It's just like school. You repeat that class until you can pass. So when you approach a different method without attaching your ego, you're sent to the next level. So that's how I've gotten to another level of acceptance. I mean, okay, I need to learn this lesson
You know,
now. And
I have an episode called The Four Levels of Consciousness. They say the four levels, the first level is life is happening to me. So that's when you go like, oh, why is all this happening to me? Why am I the one going through all this? And then you move to another level of consciousness, which you said, life is happening for me. So you know that
for
whatever is happening is for you. The
it's for
challenges are supposed to build your life muscles to
you.
take you to
But
where you're
wherever you're
going in
going next,
life.
face tests. You
Yeah, to
overcome.
show that you deserve or you're what you are asking life for. And then the
Yes,
third
you
one is
fall back
life is
and the lesson. Mm.
then the third one is life is happening through me. Is where you get to a point where you're interested in living an impactful life. Everything you do is about what you can add to humanity, how you can help people. Then the
And
last one is
sometimes
life is
you leave the second level and the third level simultaneously. Sometimes,
yeah,
sometimes.
sometimes yes. When you allow yourself the epiphany of understanding it. Then the last one is life is happening as me. That is when you
Mm.
get to a point where you are like, you know what? It's not even about me making profit. It's not even about me being praised about anything. It's just about me giving myself to life to say, you know
Yes.
what, I am here because humanity needs me. Just people
Mm.
like Mother Teresa, those are the saints, people that have been able to get to a point where Gandhi, who have said, you know what, even if it cost my life,
And I'm
you
so
understand?
scared into that level.
I'm aspiring to get to a level where I can be,
I
I know
don't
I'm at,
know.
life
I
is
don't know.
happening
I
through
think I
me.
want
I'm
before
at the
myself.
third level of life is happening through me. But because I know that I'm someone who is so obsessed about impact, I know that my aspiration is to get to the point where life can happen as me. I think for
I'm
me,
almost there, so
it will
but I
be
need to.
it will be full fulfillment. But life is happening through me is also, all right,
It's a
because
good
you're
thing.
still
Life is
doing
happening
what you
through
should
me.
be doing
I
for
like life is
humanity.
happening. It's cool.
Yeah. So you see, that's another thing I'm saying. Authenticity. You are okay at the third level of consciousness. You're fine. You're not trying to move to the fourth one. You're okay. You don't want to
But
become
when it's time to go to the
you
fourth
don't want
one,
to become
my
a god.
spirit,
You're okay.
um, I'm okay.
I like that. Okay, so Uti, before we go now, we have like 5 minutes or 4 minutes. What would you want anybody who watches this live or who is on this live now to take away from this conversation about authenticity? What would you say to them that can help them take off the mask? Some people have more than one mask. We have different ones. We have the ones we wear for family, for friends, when we want to go out, when we're partying, when we're in the office. We have different, and it's so tiring because that's what is exhausting. So what would you say? What would you want to leave them with? What do you want them to take away from this conversation?
I'd say it's simple. If you're not tired, please go ahead and make more mistakes. And then when Mumu don't tire you, you will get to a point where you know it's time to move the mask. By the time you start to
Uti, this is your tough love.
but it's true now.
Mm.
That's when I say Mumu never tire you. When Mumu don't tire you, I am ready to take accountability for your own roles that you've played in whatever demise you've gone through. Then you would flip. But if you're comfortable with where you are, please stick to who you were. It's very simple. I'm done letting people know that to do this you have to do. No, you have to love
You see,
yourself
some
enough.
people love to learn from experience, but other people love
Well,
to
when they don't
listen to another person's experience and learn
yeah,
from it.
get peace. Like because I am someone that can learn from your talks, doesn't mean that the next person can learn from those talks. So I'm okay with God teaching people lessons the way I can play God because when you feel sometimes when you over exaggerate your place in people's lives, you stand the risk of playing God. So you don't want to play God in
You're right.
anyone's life.
Yeah,
You don't.
exactly.
You don't. So let God do with them how He wants to do with them. In the same way, if someone's going through a storm, it's not every storm you interfere. You can't interfere in God's trouble. And God,
It's true. I've seen a meme like that that says that when somebody is suffering, leave the person as in God is.
yes. Well, once the thing does not come in alignment with who you are, because God can also send you to help someone, but you will know when you're supposed to help somebody. You
And
know, that's why I said if you get to the point where your mumu don't do, you yourself will change. And for if there's any experience you're tired of in your life, it starts with you, and it starts with accountability. Meaning, you have to be willing to accept your role that you have played in whatever it
played
is
in
you're doing.
it. Yes.
Yes, and you have to now come. It's like finding the cause of your problem. If you find out, go to a blood test now and they say you have typhoid and malaria, will you not buy antibiotics and anti-malaria? So when you now find out that your role that you've played, you have to now seek on a seek.
And it's important to know. It's important to know that we always have a role that we play in
Of
whatever
course,
situation we
yes, you
find
have to
ourselves.
stupid to
Either
think
because
that
we didn't
it
say
was
no,
always somebody else's fault.
either because we didn't say
Yes,
no, we didn't set
yes,
boundaries. We always
follow
allow what
directly.
happens to us. There must be a role you played.
Yes,
So it means that we have to stop the blame game. Yes, the other person did what he did, but we gave the
but what did you
inroad.
allow? What did
We
you
gave the
allow?
inroad for that to happen.
Sometimes you see the way they treat other people, but you think you're too special for them to treat you like that.
Mm,
So but you have to believe character when you see it. How they
mm,
treat others is a reflection of how they would treat you if you were in that position.
mm.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And adding to what you said, I believe that embracing your authenticity, whether you are ready now or you are not, like Uti said, is the only thing keeping you away from becoming who you are meant to be. That person you're
Yeah.
looking for, that thing you're trying to figure out, that question you ask yourself every night: why am I here? What is my life for? When will I make it? What am I meant to do with my life? The only thing keeping the answer away from you is you embracing who you truly are, who
Yeah.
you're supposed to be, regardless of what people think. Until you move past people's validation and what people think of you, life is never going to take off for you. I mean, you're never going to be able to enter the fullness of who you're meant to be and just live that life, because everybody must always have an opinion about what you want to do. And that's the truth. I had to learn it the hard way. Sometimes I write a book, I bring it out, somebody has an opinion. I finish a project, maybe a movie or something, somebody has something to say. I start to wear something, somebody has something to say. I put on a hairdo, people will always say something. When you look in the mirror or when you look at your work, do you
Do
have
you see
peace? Are
him?
you satisfied with it?
What does
You
your
must
mind
understand that you're even a work
tell
in
you?
progress. Nothing you're going to do is perfect in the beginning. Uti, the first life I had, I think last week, I didn't remove my screensaver. In fact, they barely saw me on that live. And I was like, how can I have such an authentic phone? And the quality came up, but I couldn't see that from here. So what did I do? I didn't beat myself up. I still posted it. People who still learned what they wanted to learn from it, learned what they learned. But the next week, I was able to figure out what the problem was, move forward. The next one, we had issues with internet. We figured that out. Today, I can't believe I had a 1 hour live, no glitch, nothing. Although I also prayed, though. I said, Holy Spirit, this thing has to be perfect, And I'm looking at both our pictures. Just that this is your skin. You have to tell me what you're using. But I think we had an amazing conversation today. And guys, you've
Yeah.
heard it. If you're tired of being where you are, feeling the way you're feeling, being depressed, socially anxious, having mental health issues, whatever it is, insomnia, being unhappy, being dissatisfied with your situation, either with yourself, your career, your life, your relation, whatever, you need to now look in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. A lot
And
of
you
us
have to
are forcing
practice.
ourselves.
You have to
Yeah.
practice gratitude. If you're eating gari and you're hoping for spaghetti, until you appreciate the gari that you are eating,
Please let me
never.
market my gratitude journal. Get
Exactly.
a copy of my gratitude journal. It's on
Uh,
Amazon, or you can
it
send me.
you attract more things that you'll be grateful for. So you have to accept they will say, oh, no job, no this, but you have life, you have health, your legs are working, your hands are working. There's always something to be grateful for. So gratitude attracts more things to be grateful for. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so
Mm.
much, Uti. So you guys, you've heard everything. Be honest with yourself. Really, the first conversation starts with is the first honest conversation is the one you have with yourself. And when you have that honest conversation, trust me, you're going to let go of a lot of things in your life that don't serve you. You make your life easier. You make the life of the other person easier. It's just like people in relationships that both of you having headache, but you are still there. People are not sleeping. You are still there. Saying you must die here together. Be honest with yourself. This thing, is it working? Is it even supposed to work? Are we even supposed to be together? I am red. He's blue. He's red. I am red. She's blue. This thing is not. We're not even in the same space in our life. Is it okay? The fear of the unknown. I don't know what is ahead of me. That's what is keeping a lot of people. So have that honest conversation with yourself that, see, I'm the one sabotaging myself. And in essence, I'm also sabotaging this person. Let me be able to make the right decision. When you make that right decision for yourself, then you make it for somebody else. In fact, in making the right decision for yourself, you're making it for the next person. Most times we think that if I leave, I might not find somebody. Or if he leaves me, he will find somebody else. What makes you think you won't find someone? So that's where self-love comes in. Knowing that you deserve more than you even think you deserve for yourself. Knowing that you are worth it. Knowing that, you're someone that can have the best. You're an exotic island, like Uti said. That you're an exotic island that people need to put in the work to get to. That's what I am. So putting that at the back of your head and thinking about it every day, after a while, it begins to make sense to you and it starts informing the decisions you're making. You start thinking, are these decisions empowering me or are they disempowering me? When you start answering those questions honestly, that's the beginning of authenticity. You're being honest with yourself at that point. And you're saying, it is my brother. He sends me, he will do anything for me. But the one that is going to bother on him, not loving himself, I'm on my own. He'll be laughing and telling me like this. No, I'm not doing this one. So, and I have come to appreciate the fact that this is who he is and he's honest, about the things that he does. So, Uti, thank you so much for this
You,
conversation. I told you that you to finish quick now. We will not talk long. This one is not our private conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the live. And I'm hoping to have you back here again. Maybe at that point, this is how my V used to, my BTS boys now. These are the guys used to greet you. And I love those boys so much. So I'm hoping to have you back again when we talk about love not being transactional. I want to have that conversation, but
okay.
sometime in the future. Thank
All
you
right.
so much and have an
Thank
amazing evening.
you too. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.